Hi, I'm Laura Flanders of The Laura Flanders Show. Watch every week on Free Speech TV, Link TV, YouTube, or if you're in New York, CUNY TV. Prefer to listen? Subscribe to the free podcast at lauraflanders.com. I end every week with a commentary. I call it the F word. Here's this week's. It's been a challenging time for the commentariat, with self-determination struggles breaking out in obscure parts of Europe. From Scotland to Catalonia, independence fights have had pundits scuttling for the history books. Noble cultures, ancient grievances. The last time many people heard the word Catalonia, it was on the cover of a screed by George Orwell. And just what was that Spanish Civil War about anyway? It's not easy boning up on Europe's fusty history, but if they didn't dig down into the ancient past, the pundits just might have to look at the more recent sort. What if the crisis in Catalonia had as much to do with 2008 as 1978, with the crisis of capitalism as much as the crisis of the Spanish Constitution? The roots of the Catalan crisis are culturally specific, but the fact that it's breaking out now isn't all that esoteric. Corruption has so corroded the relationship between the governed and their governments that all across the capitalist world, democracies are at breaking point. Catalan independence comes in many flavors. Some separatists are eager to rid their affluent region of its responsibilities to Spain's poorer parts. Immigrants, it should be noted, weren't permitted to vote in the referendum. Others, inspired by the progress of Barcelona under its community organizer, Mayor Ada Colau, imagine a region reclaimed and remade from the bottom up, with free healthcare, quality education, and decision-making by popular assembly. Where the various independence tendencies and the iron-fisted Spanish Prime Minister meet is atop a political powder keg that is far bigger than they are. The Transnational Institute recently calculated that since 2008, some $792 billion have been lost to Europeans of all nations, spent on bailing out big broken banks and enriching a few financial firms through obscure private deals brokered through central bankers, not legislators. In Spain, some 16 billion euros went from Spanish taxpayers to just one bank, Bankia, with no public vote. Deals like that make a mockery of Prime Minister Rajoy's high-minded talk about democracy. And then there's the privatization. Selling national public assets to private multinational corporations has long been EU policy, even as they opposed Catalan independence on the grounds of preserving national integrity. Spain sold off its airports at prices set by, and also, it turns out, for the benefit of the very same private firms that were advising on the sell-off. One could go on. Corruption, let's just say, breeds contempt. The shame in Barcelona is that the blood in the streets is getting more press in weeks than years of innovative policy have received ever. And yet Barcelona's progressive municipalization is also a response to the old-school corruption the people faced. The past isn't dead, it's not even past, said someone once. Let's just not let it obscure us to what's happening in the present. For more on Barcelona and how a housing rights activist became mayor, watch this week's program at lauraflanders.com. And write to me, tell me what you think. That's Laura, Laura, at lauraflanders.com. Thanks.